Hello and welcome to the GMAT Club MBA Spotlight Fair, featuring top business schools from around the world. My name is Abdul Rahman and I am your GMAT Club moderator for today's session. Today we have some wonderful people from Cornell Johnson. We have Eddie Asbie with us. He is the Executive Director of Admissions and Scholarship at Cornell Johnson Graduate School of Management. He'll be talking a bit about the MBA program at Johnson, what makes it distinctive, and why you should consider applying to the MBA program. We also have some current students with us. We have Navneet and Valerie to share their MBA experiences with you guys. Before I hand over to Eddie, I would like to mention a few things. Firstly, after this session, we'll have a Zoom session in case you have any questions that you have for our presenters today. Also, I have some good news for you guys. We are offering some prizes for attending this session. The prize drawing will be done at the end of the session, and the link to enter the prize drawing will be posted in the chat. Finally, remember to like this video and subscribe to the GMI Club YouTube channel to stay informed of more great sessions coming up. Without further ado, I'll hand over to Eddie.
Thank you very much, Abdur. It's a pleasure to have all of you all on this GMAT Club session as you learn more about us here at Johnson at Cornell University. As mentioned, my name is Eddie Asbie. I'm the Executive Director of Admissions and Scholarship here at Johnson. I have been with Johnson for quite some time, about 9 years, but within my role here, I help develop our 1 year and our 2 year residential MBA program. And one of the things that you'll hear me say throughout the session is how much I love the work that I do. And of course, the community that we have here at Johnson is a dynamic community. So I commend you all for thinking about this next step on an MBA. And of course, there's a lot of great information that we have to share with you today. But of course, I can't do the session without the heart and soul of our community, which are our students, which I am really excited to have two of our current students on the call, where we have Navneet, who is a student from our 1 year MBA program, as well as Valerie, who is a student from our 2 year MBA program. But I will have them introduce themselves before we get moving forward with the presentation. But we will have Valerie to introduce yourself first, and then Navneet, you next. So Valerie, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Eddie. As Eddie said, I'm a first-year MBA student in the 2 year program based in Ithaca. I am coming from Germany, where I worked in marketing and communications at a consulting firm in the insurance space. And post-MBA, I'd like to pursue a career in tech in the insurance space.
Thank you for that, Valerie. Hi, everybody. Hi, Eddie. So I'm Navneet, and I'm a candidate in the 1 year residential program at Ithaca. Prior to joining Johnson, I completed my bachelor's degree in finance and also hold a CPA designation. And I worked in equity research and treasury management roles. And post-MBA, I'm looking to move more into internal strategy or move into strategy consulting roles here in the US.
Great. Thank you both so much for joining us today. And of course, for all of you on this call, listening and learning more, our students, of course, will be joining us throughout the presentation to talk about their experience and, of course, the value of a Cornell MBA. All right, so we're going to spend the next 15, 20 minutes or so just highlighting the program. And of course, we're here to answer any questions that you may have about the program. But first, I do want to start off with why I feel is a great reason for you to consider Cornell as you are thinking about some of the various options that are available. So the first thing that I would say is one, of course, as you go through the MBA process, I'm sure you're thinking about schools that have a strong brand that are going to also really be able to prepare you, from the educational side, and to really think about where it will take you post MBA. And that's something that Cornell will give you. It's going to give you that Ivy League education, but also that worldwide recognition. But also our program gives you an opportunity of flexibility, but also the opportunity to elaborate and grow in other areas and working with top programs here at Cornell. So our programs will give you that flexibility to not only be able to utilize the courses in the business school, but also courses at some other top-rate programs, whether it is the hotel school, the law school, engineering, industrial labor relations, the list goes on. But let's talk a little bit more about our programs. As I had mentioned before, my team oversees our 1 year and our 2 year residential program in Ithaca. Just to kind of highlight briefly our 2 year program, our 2 year program is the larger of the two programs. This incoming class, we enrolled the class of 304 students. Typically within the 2 year program, we may see someone who is either earlier on in their career, maybe someone who is looking to make a career switch, but also someone who is looking to take advantage of those 2 years of networking, that internship experience. So as you do your research, it is important that you have a good sense of which program really makes sense for you. As you can see right here, here's a little bit about our curriculum. In the fall semester, it's pretty standard as you're going through your core courses, your stats, finance, accounting type courses, to really give you the basic business fundamentals. But once you move past that fall semester of your first year, that's where you start seeing more of that flexibility. We'll talk more about our Immersion learning program, which I do believe is something that sets our program apart. Of course, there are international opportunity, leadership opportunities in that fall semester of your second year, as well as the spring semester. That's where you're going to also see a lot more flexibility of tapping into courses at other programs, here at Cornell, our Cornell Tech campus as well. So once again, that's a little bit about what that journey within the 2 year program will bring you. And of course, as you had met Valerie earlier on, she is a candidate for the 2 year program. But Valerie, if you wouldn't mind sharing just a little bit of why you chose a 2 year MBA program and how your overall experience is going so far.
Yeah, absolutely. So I chose the 2 year program because, as Eddie was describing, it's a really great program for career switchers. And I'm looking to pivot from a marketing and communications role into a tech product management role. And having those 2 years really gives me a bit more to learn about those things. Another reason why I wanted to do the 2 year program was also the opportunity to take some classes and intensives, as they're called, on our tech campus. So as I was saying, I want to be in a tech role, and Cornell has a really strong program for that. And as you can imagine right now, if you're looking at the fall one, I'm deep in the core right now. So it's quite intense at the moment. Very hopefully looking towards the spring where we can really kind of start specializing a bit. I'm doing the digital technology immersion, and I'm very excited about that.
There is also our 1 year MBA program. And our 1 year MBA program this year enrolled a class of 58 in the program. The one thing about our program, it is done at an accelerated pace. So the program begins in May and it ends the following May. To qualify for our 1 year program, there are certain qualifications that you must have, such as an advanced degree, certain certifications like a CFA or CPA, to qualify you for the program, or there's certain dual degrees as well. Typically in the 1 year program, we may see someone who is either advanced in their career, someone who's looking to get that MBA, once again, at an accelerated pace. A lot of other things to really take into consideration with it, but also it does coincide with our Cornell Tech MBA students as they go through the summer core as well. So of course, Navneet, I'm glad to have you on the call as well, but maybe you can talk a little bit about the 1 year program, what made you decide the 1 year program, and how your overall experience is going so far.
Sure. Thanks for that, Eddie. So I would start with talking about why I was inclined more to the 1 year MBA program. As I mentioned in my introduction, I did my bachelor's in business with majors in finance and accounting, and I also hold the CPA designation from India. So I wanted to expeditiously complete the core courses in the summer and then delve into electives that I wanted to take in the fall and the spring term, which were more aligned to my long-term goal of getting into an internal strategy or strategy consulting role. Also, I was looking for more of a career progression than a career switch altogether. I was a part of a retirement strategy team in the last role that I held, and I was looking to more to switch into a strategy within the finance space. And I felt that the resources of the 1 year MBA program were best suited to help me reach there. Talking about how the journey has been so far, We started off in summer and it was great. It was definitely quite intense. But the best part about the journey was that the curriculum was laid out in a manner that we had immense support from the faculty, our peers, as well as the student services team as we were navigating through the summer term. And because the recruiting for the one-year MBA program starts early in the fall, we also had great career prep resources right in the summer. So we had career work groups that were led by graduating students. And we were also placed in touch with the Career Management Center, which helped us start very early on the resources like resume and our stories to get us to hit the ground running as soon as we started the program. And that is how the summer term was for most of my classmates as well. And now in the fall, we are currently in the middle of the recruiting season and almost wrapping it up now, I would say. And it's also enjoyable to take the electives. And going into the spring term, I would say I'm inclined to take the corporate finance immersion because I want to leverage my background in finance to learn more about how finance fits into strategy, which is something that I want to do in the future.
Great, thank you so much. So of course, hearing from our students, once again, I think that it's really important that you have a really good sense of which program is the best fit for you. As I think about our program and something that really does make us a unique program is our immersion learning program. And the immersion, the way it works is in the spring semester of your first year, if you are, of course, applying to a 2-year program. Of course, for the 1-year program, it is the spring semester right before you graduate. You do have an intense hands-on experience where you really immerse yourself into a particular career path to really help you hit the ground running, whether it is to prepare you for your summer internship or to prepare you for life post MBA. But the immersion itself gives you the opportunity of not only having that hands-on experience, but also, working with business practitioners and getting feedback, really being able to take advantage of advanced level courses within these particular industries itself. To kind of give you a sense of some of the immersions, intensives that are available, the list, of course, right here is an extensive list. We have our New York City elective courses, which happens in the fall semester, where you do have the opportunity of taking elective courses, primarily focusing on either cryptocurrency, design thinking, of course, digital marketing itself. This is an opportunity of, once again, just taking these courses on the weekend, or you have the opportunity of taking advantage of one of 2 intensives in New York City, which is the FinTech Intensive or the Digital Marketing Intensive. Please note that the FinTech Intensive as well as the Digital Marketing Intensive are 7-week courses where you are actually living in New York City, collaborating with our Cornell Tech students, taking a variety of elective courses itself, but once again, really preparing you for this FinTech or the digital marketing space itself. Leadership is very important, and these are some ways that our students are involved in and really grow within their community and our community here at Johnson. Whether it's going through the core team experience itself, whether it is focusing on our 4 C's framework, which is focus on competence, character, compassion, and courage, whether it is being on the board of a local nonprofit here in the Ithaca area, being a Johnson Board Fellows, being a Park Fellow, the list goes on. But of course, this is also where I would like, both Valerie as well as Navneet to come in and talk about leadership here at Johnson. So Valerie, I'm going to ask you to go first. I know that also you are a Park Fellow. So maybe you can just kind of talk a little bit more about leadership as well as the Park Fellowship here at Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely. This is really a special thing about Johnson, this focus on leadership, and it's definitely one of the things that attracted me to the program. The first thing that we all do before we even get to campus is a 360 leadership assessment, and this is something that every student does. You really go to your former colleagues and your supervisors, and you ask them for feedback to kind of give the foundation to then further develop your leadership skills at Johnson. So this was a great way to start the semester and the year. As Eddie said, I'm also incredibly fortunate to have been selected as a Park Leadership Fellow, which is a small cohort of 28 students every year that has even added on leadership training. We really focused a lot on kind of self-leadership, learning about ourselves. We do an MBTI test to kind of find what are our strengths, what do we want to develop more. We do a lot of work individually, but also in our smaller groups to really reflect on what do we want to develop, how can we be leaders in our community, and then that's paired with certain expectations of having a board position on one of the clubs, really thinking about what can we give back to the community in our second year during our park projects. And this has been a really invaluable experience for me because you start building this connection at the very beginning when you come to campus, and then this is a family that you have throughout your whole Johnson experience.
Great, thank you. And Navneet as well, can you talk about what leadership has looked like on your end, and even things that you may be involved with here in the Johnson community?
Sure. To echo what Valerie also mentioned about the 360 leadership assessment, we also started off with that in the summer term, and it was really useful to get feedback from your colleagues, from your co-workers, as well as from your managers, to know the areas that you would want to work on during your MBA journey. And in addition to that, we were also placed in core teams, as the slide also mentions. And that really places you in a team where there are diverse individuals. And when I say diverse, it means people with different academic backgrounds, with different professional experiences, and you work with them to develop a goal or set a goal for yourself as you navigate through the MBA journey. So that has been the greatest highlight in terms of the leadership experience here at Johnson. And in addition to that, I've also had the fortune to be a part of the Environmental Finance and Impact Investing Fellowship, through which we get to work with entities here in Ithaca and help them work towards sustainability. So that is another way I would say that you get to work on your leadership abilities, because you would be holding these positions once you graduate from the program. So these are some of the highlights that I have, Eddie.
Great, thank you. Ithaca. So I just want to briefly highlight Ithaca. If you haven't had the opportunity to come and visit, beautiful location located in central New York. We are about 4 hours north of New York City. An amazing, amazing college town where there are wonderful waterfalls in the area. The Finger Lakes region. So if you are love wine, breweries, some of the highlights of this area, but also a wonderful place to raise a family. Ithaca, once again, I believe is a hidden gem, but once our students get here, it is a phenomenal place to be. Here, as you will see, these are our admissions deadlines for the remainder of the year, whether you're applying for our 1 year and our 2 year program. Of course, if you are looking at the January round in particular, our application is January 5th. And then, of course, for anyone applying to the 1 year program, there's a January 5th, but then also rolling up to March 8th. If you're looking at the 2 year program, our last round will be April 12th. So what I will say is, when submitting your application, make sure that you submit the best application possible, but also submit when you know that you are ready. As far as our admissions checklist, here, of course, are our admissions requirements. I think I would say it's pretty standard from what you may see from some other applications out there. But two things that I will highlight before we do jump into some questions. One is our essay. So this year, we do have our goal statement essay. Once again, just knowing what your short-term and your long-term goals are. But then also we have your impact essay. And the impact essay really gives us that opportunity to really be able to highlight how you really see yourself making an impact within a wonderful community such as Cornell's community. So really give us some thought on that essay itself and ways to really be able to put your best foot forward. Of course, a lot of, as I'd mentioned, there are other things that are pretty standard, like your letter of recommendation, submitting your transcripts. But the last thing that I will highlight is really kind of more the test option there. So as you can see, we do allow candidates, of course, to submit the GMAT or the GRE, but then there's that test waiver option. So we get a lot of questions on who should ask for the test waiver, who should not. I will say the test waiver is not for everybody, but for someone who is asking for the test waiver, hopefully there are things within your application where you're able to demonstrate, strong academic performance, strong quantitative abilities, whether it is your strong academics, whether it is your work experience, whether it is your recommenders that are able to speak on your behalf. So really kind of do your due diligence, reach out to myself, my team, if you are inquiring if this makes sense or not. But once again, this is just a little bit about our application checklist and ultimately our requirements.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Eddie, Navneet, and Valerie for all the information. We'll now have some Q&A. And if your question isn't answered in this session, we do have a Zoom session to follow up after this session. So please do join that. We'll share the link for that session in the chat. What are the criteria for granting scholarship? And there's this myth that a higher GMAT score increases your chances of getting a good scholarship. So what's your comment on that?
Yeah, great question. So of course, I would say this is a question that you want to ask school by school. Here at Johnson, though, it is merit-based. It is based off the quality of your application as far as if you are granted that scholarship or not. So once again, this is why it's really important to submit the best application process. Does a higher GMAT score help you get a scholarship? Not necessarily. I have seen candidates who have the highest GMAT score, but that's all they have in their application. We're looking for someone with a strong package overall, strong work experience, strong leadership. Once again, who can academically do the work. But once again, a higher GMAT score doesn't necessarily guarantee you a scholarship or even a high amount.
Another popular question is, so I know a lot of applicants, they usually do an MBA to switch their careers. So what are the primary skills you look for in a candidate who is changing his or her career path?
So what we're looking for, one, we're looking for someone who has a good sense of what those goals are, but also can really think about what those transferable skills that they currently have that will help them become successful as they make that career switch. So that's one thing. But two, if you're making that career switch, we're also looking for someone who has really done due diligence in advance by connecting with professionals out in the field, connecting with our community, thinking about ways that they can get ahead of the game when recruiting or thinking about that career switch. So make sure that you do as much networking and research in advance to really prepare you, especially if you're looking to make a career switch.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We hope this provided you with valuable information about Cornell Johnson MBA programs. If you still have any question, we will now go to the Zoom room and you can directly ask your questions from our presenters here. You can also stay tuned on YouTube for the other sessions that are coming up. Thank you, Eddie, Valerie, and Navneet for joining us today. And now we'll go to the Zoom session. Bye.
Thank you.